All right, guys, we have a special little something new here. I'm here with Coda Total War. We are going to do kind of a bit of a podcast feel. Coda was bringing up that he hadn't seen a predominant amount of podcasts in the Total War community. There are some really great people out there that do them. I think that Eric Carthage does one, or Lionheart does one. But we figured, hey, Coda's an up-and-coming YouTuber. We have a lot of the same background in in Games Workshop stuff in general. So we figured, hey, why not do a lore video here together? Or what the hell is this fucking thing called?
This is the pod.
Yeah, a tube cast.
Dude, it's a pod tube, bro.
Ooh, pod tubing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm super stoked, I'm super stoked to be trying this out. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I love like podcasts, and noticed that in 40K and in tabletop they were so prevalent. And I think in this setting, like in this game, people love thinking about it and talking about it just as much as they love playing it.
Mm-hmm.
So why not kind of explore that,
Oh, I totally agree, man. Like, I think half the community of Total War is a lot of like really hardcore history buffs and like strategy nerds, and even if they don't play a Games Workshop tabletop, I'm sure that there's a good majority of Total War players that actually play like World War II tabletop or historical tabletop games.
Right, like there's the Flames of War guy in like your FLG basement, and then like the 40K guys, and it's the same thing with Rome and Attila, and then like Warhammer.
Oh yeah. Who was it? I think it's Invicta has like turned his channel almost entirely to history, because it's just like that's his jam. Like, yeah, he does Total War, but half of like his jam and why he likes Total War so much is because he just digs on history so hard. And I'm like totally the same way.
I mean, that's how they got their start, right? That was their roots and their beginning, and they're still doing that.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, we're going to be getting more historical stuff out soon, so that'll be pretty rad as it is.
Yeah, and when they took Warhammer on, I don't think that either they or Games Workshop really knew quite what they were getting into, or quite how big it would get, right?
No, I totally agree. Like, I think after Attila and Rome 2 had such a big hype behind it, and it kind of flopped hard, I'd say. Well, maybe not hard, like a soft flop. And Attila, just I don't know. I never played Attila. I kind of want to, because I've been watching like Lost Kingdom and Vikings, or Last Kingdom, but like the history base is like, all right, yeah, show me another game. And when Total War Warhammer was announced, I went from like 6 to midnight in like 2 seconds. I was so jazzed. But because I kind of figure, like, okay, if anyone's going to be able to do Warhammer itself justice, it'll be Creative Assembly. But at the same time, I was like, man, they better not fuck it up.
I mean, honest, like, hand to God, I don't think that anyone has adapted this setting better, except for the original Dawn of War. I think that was the best. And this was like a dark horse, though, because it happened around the same era that fantasy, quote unquote, died.
Right.
So it almost like picked it back up. Right.
No, it's totally true, because it's like, I remember Total War had come out. Total Warhammer had come out.
It's only been a little over a year, right? Or a year and a half.
Like, it's honestly like 14, 16 months. And Age of Sigmar came out around the same time ago. Like
2014, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 2014. So it's like, was it 2014? No, it wasn't 2014. Was it?
Wasn't it? I'm pretty sure. It's been that long now. It seems like it was like, yeah, dude, it was 6 months ago.
Dude, it's so what we don't tell me it's 6 months ago. I'll crap my pants right in front of you. It was released by GameSpot in 2015. So yeah, you're right.
2015, my bad.
Still pretty. But I know that it had come out. Age of Sigmar had come out before Total War Warhammer. So I think everyone was kind of like, okay, it's interesting that they're doing this, because Total War Warhammer is based off of 7th or 8th edition fantasy, which doesn't exist anymore, quote unquote. So it's like, I think a lot of people were excited, because this is the last vestige. This is it. There's nothing anymore. Like, there's Vermintide, and Games Workshop has said, yeah, you can keep creating stuff in this in 8th edition fantasy if you want, but we're moving into Age of Sigmar. And it's like, I think everyone, I like, it would be amazing if Games Workshop did like a 2-year back retcon of Age of Sigmar, but like can't at this point. Like maybe 10th edition is like everyone wakes up from a fever dream and goes, man, that was a weird fucking night. All right, back to our normal units in our regiment blocks and everything. But
yeah, and like it's kind of like Games Workshop gave them Warhammer Fantasy, and we're like, yeah, you know, you guys, you have fun with this, you know, do what you're gonna do. This is kind of our leftovers. And now, like 2 years later, they're kind of like looking back, like, wait a second. I mean, obviously not. You know, it's still their IP, and they're still using a lot of it. But yeah, I think this was a pleasant surprise for everybody.
I agree. So, what then is your background with Games Workshop stuff, like with tabletop in general? I guess you could say, or just miniature games.
Yeah. So let's see. I've been playing Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40K probably 12 and a half years. So I actually started in 40K with 2nd edition. And you know, like I think a lot of people do, they kind of go in and out, you know, depending on where they move to and like different stages of their lives and stuff. But you know, I must have been 12. I must have been, you know, 7th, 8th grade or something like that. Got my first miniature was honestly the 2-pack of Metal Sword Masters of Hoeth. And
oh yeah, dude,
a high elf lord on a whatever, like the little steed. My friend's mom bought it for me,
dude. The first thing I ever got was the 1996 starter box for Warhammer. I remember I went to this place called Gamekeeper growing up, and they had this room. They're like, "Hey, have you played Warhammer?" I'm like, "No, I'd love to see it." And I played the Bretonnians. It was a Bretonnian versus Lizardman box. I played the Bretonnians. The other guy had Lizardman, and he showed me like he's like, "It's like this." Back then, that's when like they had their wedge formation, the lance formation was like actually badass back then.
Yeah.
And now it's shit. But like the lance formation, you do this, it's a triangle that moves and attacks like this, and it was so cool. And I was sold on it. Like I remember like convincing the shit out of my mom. It took me like 2 weeks to convince her to buy this box set for me. And like, dude, open and shut case. Like I've been playing Warhammer ever since. Like I stopped in college. I didn't play as much in high school, but all the way leading up to high school, and now I'd say I've gone on and off throughout post-college life, but I'd say since I started in 96, I've at least always been reading the fluff, or I buy the army books for armies I've never even collected. Like I just love their lore like so much. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, dude, we are alike in this way, and this is why I knew.
You're my symbiote child separated at birth.
you're the better looking, more popular version of me. You know,
dude. Someone called me a space marine. And it was like the biggest fucking compliment of my life. Like I'm like, man, that's like the culmination of my being right there. I was like, shit, yeah.
But you know, to that point, like even when you're not playing, you are reading it and you're loving it. You know, yeah. And so of course you're gonna go play Total War when it comes out, or you're gonna check out a video game once it, you know, all that type of stuff. So
I think the only games I haven't played are some of the more recent ones. Like I haven't, because all of a sudden Games Workshop went balls ass crazy and released like
they did.
You've got Vermintide, you've got Regicide, you've got all the Dawn of Wars, you've got Battlefleet Gothic, you've got
the first person Dark Angel shooter.
Yep.
I forget what it's called.
Deathwing.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Or then you also have Space Hulk, which is a computerized version of that game. And you also have like even Fireware back on the PS2. Like, goddamn, dude. Like, there's very few that I haven't played because I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can't play the tabletop. I might as well play this. And it's like, you played Mark of Chaos, right?
I have not.
Or was it Mark of Chaos? Basically, the game that was not Total War Warhammer, but it was a strategy game, and it wasn't.
Oh fuck, dude, this is so old. I'm gonna look it up. It's old, right?
Yeah, it is Mark of Chaos. So yeah, Mark of Chaos.
I did not play it. Now I'm gonna look it up though.
It was great for its time. It was a little slow pace and everything, but like, and the units were kind of wonky and they clunky and didn't move around as like, you know, seamlessly as this and respond as well as they do in Total War. But dude, it was great. It was fucking great. I remember beta testing for it and everything, just fucking hard dick the whole time. But like I've always played these games.
I think that like this setting, and I was thinking about this, like this is like a bold, and this is all opinion, but this setting is one of the most popular fantasy sci-fi settings in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, not Tolkien, not Star Wars, not that level, right? But the fan base is so invested,
Yeah. Well, I've kind of brought this up multiple times. Like, you've got Tolkien, who's like the primogenitor of everything. Elves, high fantasy is from Tolkien. Then you've got Dungeons and Dragons, and then right after that, you really do have Warhammer. Warhammer came out, and Warhammer Fantasy came out in like 84, 86, 87. I think 87 was on the first 40K.
87.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's when the first Rogue Trader came out or something. Yes. There you go. And it's like even back then they were trying to like, okay, hey, we're not like the D&D and Tolkien folk. We're different. And it's built a really big following. Like when you go to the UK, and some of our UK viewers chime in on this. The people, one of the guys that ran my local games workshop, he was saying that like people in the UK play Warhammer like we play Xbox. Like oh, you got an Xbox at home? Oh yeah, you got your 2,000 point Imperial Guard army at home? Like holy shit, I didn't know that.
That sounds awesome.
Right?
Really?
Yeah, that's what he told me. Like he's like, yeah, dude. Like you go to places in the UK, people play, or just Britain in general, people play Warhammer like a shit ton. Like you go to like, hey, every Sunday we gather in the church or in this town hall or in this one meeting room, and everyone in the local town comes and plays Warhammer. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's fucking cool.
That sounds fucking awesome. Everyone's just got like a 6-foot table in their basement.
I have a 6 foot by 6 foot table back home in Pasadena, where I'm from. Like
6 by 6 or 6 by 4?
6 by 6.
6. Okay. Hell yeah.
Behemoth. Okay, so we've kind of talked about our
tangent.
Yeah, I know, right? Those are going to happen a lot, guys. So we've talked about our kind of history in miniatures and Games Workshop and everything, but video games, like where is your history? Like what do you think you spend the most time playing? Like what'd you play growing up? Stuff like that.
This could be the end of my YouTube career.
Okay, I got my finger over the stop recording button, so go for it.
No. So, I mean, I was always just a real partial RTS player. I mean, just one of those guys, and never like a first-person shooter, Halo, Call of Duty, none of that stuff. It was, for me, it was honestly, Warcraft 2 and StarCraft 1 were the first, I think. Heroes of Might and Magic was kind of the RPG, right, dude? Dude, I'm telling you.
1, 2, and 3 were the best ones.
Dude, 3 is so good. I want to like play 3 on and like incorporate it, but it's so. Is it boring to watch? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Turner and I are gonna play a little bit because his girlfriend plays a shit ton of it. So if those of you watching want to see Heroes of Might and Magic, holla at us. We'll play the crap out of that game.
It's so much fun, dude. And like the Total War campaign isn't that different. You know what I mean? Like in terms of the upkeep and castles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's spot on like it. It's a little bit like, there's not like random chests that you can loot for either experience or gold, but like you get that same, I got that same kind of feeling when I played Heroes of Might and Magic, where it's like, okay, I don't want to go too far away from my castle.
Right. Dude, exactly. Like, should I buy another hero? Is it time?
My upkeep, no.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, RTS, StarCraft 1, and then, Warcraft 3. I kind of fell out a little bit in Warcraft 3, although I played it with the Night Elves and the Undead.
Right.
And because I think that was aroundish the time that I got really into Dawn of War. And I mean, that was my jam, dude. Dawn of War 1, Dark Crusade, and by the time Dark Crusade came out, that was the peak of their franchise, in my opinion. The one that came after that kind of dropped the ball.
Yeah, right. I guess I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, and then obviously Dawn of War 2. I have dabbled in Dawn of War 2 and 3, and they're both fine. But I don't love them like I love those. And right now I'm all about Total War. So how about you?
Well, I'd say the first game I ever really played that wasn't like Tank Wars or. So I have two older brothers, so I grew up playing like Populous and Tank Wars and King's Quest. Like I played all those games, like like the frame to frame RPGs. But I'd say like the first game I really kind of got down and dirty with were Blizzard games, were Warcraft 2, were Diablo 1. I remember like playing on Battle.net, like just so fucking deep, balls deep in Diablo 1. But yeah, man, like I played a lot of RPGs though. Like I got really big into MMOs. Like I played Ultima Online, I played EverQuest, Dark Ages of Camelot. Like that was my bread and butter growing up. But I also always played a crap ton of RTSs. Like I was really big into beta testing growing up. So I beta tested Dawn of War. I played the crap out of Dawn of War. I was so excited for Dawn of War. And Dawn of War, I totally agree, is like the pinnacle of like how I would want a game like Warhammer 40,000 to be themed, like just mass amount of fucking death. Like units don't matter, just throw them to the blender, but for the most part, because it's like in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war. But,
right. It's like I don't know how much of that's like nostalgia goggles, and like how much of it is actually like, dude, this got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think of like any game in the past, and it's like, oh man, that game had the graphics that I think of that are great right now. Then I go and play that game in the past, I'm like, fuck, those hands are made of polygons. It's like, damn.
Dude, it's like I'm really on the PS2.
Yeah, it just feels so alive. But then I got into competitive RTSs through StarCraft 2, through Warcraft 3.
Like competitive, like League?
No, I didn't really quite get up to League status because I didn't have the time for it. Like I've always kind of been embroiled in one thing or another, so I never got a chance to like go like balls deep in the MLG circuit of any kind. But like I always play like first person shooters to like fucking win. Like I used to play Call of Duty all the time, Clan Foreskin. I used to play like
GoldenEye.
Oh, dude, who didn't play GoldenEye? You show me a person who didn't play GoldenEye, that man's a fool or a woman.
GoldenEye, that was it,
dude. So great. But okay, so we've.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. No. What is your quick opinion on what do they call MOBAs? And I'm not a player of these like League of Legends and stuff, but I know they're very
MOBA Battle Arena.
Yeah, like League of Legends and Dawn of the Assassins. Do you like those?
I played a lot of League. Turn and I used to play League a lot, actually. Like for 2 straight years almost, we played like nothing but League. And I just can't take it. Like the community is not very nice, supportive, conducive to having fun. Their community is all about like, hey, let me just be an asshole to you because I can be an asshole because I know this game.
What is with that? I know what is with that in video games, man. Is it like a kid thing?
I don't really think so. I think it's just a competitive string. But when you play in a game that does not necessarily force casual and competitive players apart, then you have something like the community of League of Legends. Like League of Legends is the most popular online game right now with the most abundant online economy and community. Like that's like a fact. And the people that are the loudest and the meanest are a very silent majority or a minority. Like the majority of gamers that play the game are pretty lax. They play it like with their friends. They just kind of hang out. Like there's nothing over the top there. But since there's so many of those outspoken people, it gives it a bad rap. And that's unfortunately why I just don't play League of Legends anymore. It's like I'm sick of like being yelled at because I miss my skill shot because I'm like also texting my girlfriend or something like that. Like
that's one of the things that drew me into Total War and Warhammer is from my like limited kind of viewpoint, the community seems a lot nicer and more welcoming. And that was one of the that's a really good thing, not to be like kumbaya about it, you know what I mean? But
let's all hold hands and talk about Jesus. But no, I agree. Like everyone's been super supportive of anything I've put up. Battle wise, like I'm not the best online player. Like I've gotten a lot better than I started like 4 months ago, but like I'm not good. And people are
and who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. People don't care. Like people have posted on Reddit and said like, hey, I've just gotten into this because I saw Party Elite or Invicta or ItalianSpartacus videos on either ItalianSpartacus losing or people like giving tutorials on how to play the game, and it got me into the multiplayer. And I'm like, that is so cool because this is the first Total War that I've played the multiplayer. I don't play the multiplayer typically in Total War. I love the campaign so much. So yeah, it's just a great community.
I agree. I agree, and nowhere did I ever think that you had to be good or bad. I mean, I can hardly even gauge quick battles and multiplayer battles are so varied. For, you know, in my mind, I mean, I don't consider myself neither good nor bad, nor bad, you know, but nowhere near the level that I can see some of these guys play, and nowhere near the level that I've seen some of these guys play. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ultimately, I don't think about it, you know, because the lore and the setting is what draws people to this game for the most part.
It's true. Like, dude, I love like bad movies. I'll watch a bad movie any day. Like, I love it, and that's like kind of the same mentality I apply to like every single online quick battle. If it's good, if it's bad, I got to play Warhammer in a live action, quote unquote, virtual realm where I didn't have to put together and paint the models. I got to put together whatever kind of army I wanted, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And that's the way I like approach those quick battles, because otherwise it's like if I go in there super competitive each time, it just kind of like dulls it down for me, because it becomes like a job, like a task. And like that's why I enjoy this game so much, is that you can just have that chance to like fuck around for the most part.
Yeah, who gives a shit? That's why they're quick battles, right?
Right. Yeah. But I mean, a good segue then on that, since we're talking about the community. Do you feel that there's a divide between like Total War Warhammer players and maybe Total War historical players, or maybe a divide between Warhammer players and the tabletop players? Like, do you feel like it is one kind of happy, kumbaya, contiguous community, or do you think there is that kind of rift?
So, I mean, clearly, there's some kind of rift. You know, it's not an overarching statement and doesn't apply to everybody, but when a company posts anything anywhere on any social media site and you always get the same response, at least to some degree, you know that like there's some sort of cultural underlying something. Now, do I think that that's the majority? Probably not, you know?
Right.
I think it goes back to the size of Warhammer and the community. I do think dwarves, kind of the historical games, that's just my opinion, that could be wrong, and I don't think that says anything about the quality of anything or the player base or anything like that. But I think that in general it can create a little bit of a rift, because hey, they were first, and Warhammer's the new guys and the shiny guys and the big guys, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, 100%.
What do you think about that?
What is specific?
Would you notice is the trend, or like the cultural trend between historical and Warhammer fans, is this kind of typical in other games that you've played?
I didn't know if we were talking about like the bigger, better portion of like yeah, like what you were just saying last. I didn't know if we were going off that or not. Ooh.
Wait. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just got confused. I'm stupid. It's late at night. Well, it's later for you. You're in Chicago, so it's like, what is it, like midnight? 1? That's 1, right?
It's almost 1 here.
Oh, but
the night is but a fetus.
slowly inching in towards itself in a very depressing state, and drinking alcohol. Wait a minute, I don't feel like I know what a fetus is.
Wait, so you didn't know, you didn't want to talk about the historical Warhammer?
No, I totally do. I just got confused by the question, which I asked you, me being dumb like that. But like, I definitely think that there is like kind of a somewhat of a rift between historical and Warhammer fans. And yeah, it's historical and Warhammer Total War fans. I don't think that it's so overt that like maybe Total War players that like history don't play Warhammer at all, but I feel like they do, just because they like the system so much, because it's a very good formula and system for RTS in general.
I totally agree.
I think though that like the rift is maybe, I guess again, it's a silent minority of people, not silent at all. It's a minority of people that are so outspoken against the two, one way or another. Like, just no more of these fucking elf things. Give me fucking give me like Total War China Romance of the Three Kingdoms. But on the other hand of the boat, there's like no more history stuff. Give me more elf things. So I think that those two sects of both communities are are low. Yeah, penis and vagina.
It's like they'll Creative Assembly or Total War will release like a video of like the Carnosaur model, like the most incredible thing you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And then like there'll be a comment like, what the fuck is with this like baby bullshit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fucking dinosaurs, they're fucking extinct. Jesus created dinosaurs long ago and now they're gone. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, whoa, geez.
But yeah, I'm sure that's, like you said, the silent minority. And I guess I don't know if that's, is the situation so unique? I believe that this situation with Total War is unique. I don't know that, but that there might not be quite as much of a rift between like the originals and this and a player base. Maybe there is. I mean, you're more versed at like posing questions to the community. You might be able to put it better than me. But like, do you know of any?
I'm wrong a lot. I go, guys, if you know any otherwise, tell me right now. But I don't know. I'd say anytime you have an IP, especially one like a Total War, or an IP like a Warhammer, or you can think about an IP like Game of Thrones, there's going to be a portion of people that go, that is nothing like this. But I think what's more important, especially in like today's era of doing different takes on a bunch of different things, it's all about the spirit of the IP. If like, yeah, maybe Total War doesn't follow everything exactly to code, but I think it gets along with the spirit of what makes a game a Warhammer game. But alternatively to that, I think Creative Assembly nailed on the spirit of what makes a game a Total War game, in that it's got the same exact formula that I can follow for every single game prior to this to win Total War Warhammer campaigns. The same damn thing. It's just got a different skin on it, more or less. And I hate putting things that way because it kind of cheats how great any game is. Like you can just say Call of Duty is any other shooter with a World War II skin on it, or a zombie skin on it, so on and so forth. And
I hear you.
I always hate kind of saying that, but like it just comes down to formulaic approach to it. And I think that they have a good thing with Total War.
Yeah, and I think to your point, to expand on that, it goes to show what kind of creative people we're actually dealing with here on their end. And I have I'm not a dick stroker. I have no reason. I'm never gonna be an insider, anything like that. It's not even a goal. You know what I mean? But like from my perspective, Creative Assembly, like the way that they've balanced this whole thing,
right,
like the Warhammer and the Total War, and staying true to the tabletop lore, and just literally like even just those three things, right? That's so difficult,
right?
From a development standpoint. And then when you add in balance and design, I mean, they've killed it. This game is beautiful. It's unlike any other.
I'm trying to see something here for Creative Assembly, because I think so. Creative Assembly, as you know, is based out of the UK, right?
Yes, I did gather that from the accents of the live stream.
Right, today we're going to be going over the Norsca roster. Like,
and by the way, like I love like the personality in that, like how they always fuck up in some way, just a little bit. It's so good.
Yeah, it's got to happen. I love it.
It's so good.
I love it.
Go ahead. Sorry, bro.
Well, no, you're good. I totally agree. Like, I'm trying to see that. Okay, so they're in West Sussex. And people, again, from the UK, let me know. So West Sussex to Nottingham. Nottingham is where the HQ of Games Workshop is. It's a 3-hour drive. It's very far north. In fact, it's 200 miles north. But
which one's more north?
West Sussex is like pretty much on the coast next to Brighton and France. I'm sorry, not close to France. It's on the coast of England, close to France. Is what I mean. Nottingham's like all the way. It's like smack dab in the center of southern England. So
which one's more in the country, like Creative Assembly? Which one's closer to London? I'm pulling up the map now. I didn't understand
West
anything.
Sussex is definitely closer to London.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, like, they're in the UK. They've all been probably playing this, and it's been inspiring them for Creative Assembly games for Total War games outside of Warhammer. So it's probably right up their alley. And they probably some of them even showcase, hey, here's the armies I play. Like the dude who always comes in to talk about the roster reveals, he plays High Elves. And he was all like bitter about talking about the Dark Elves. It was fucking hilarious.
Oh, even he's the guy when they were like, "Don't play this, don't play this." They're evil. Yeah. Oh, I love those guys. All their personalities. They're so raw. They don't fake it.
Right.
It's just cool, man.
That's a dry British humor in general, man. I guess
Monty Python style.
Oh, fuck. He's got big pointy teeth. I fucking love Monty Python. I guess kind of segueing though off of that. What are your thoughts on Total War Warhammer 2? What are you hyped up about? Which race are you going to play, and why is it going to be High Elves?
Dude, it literally is gonna be High Elves and Dark Elves and Lizardmen and Skaven.
So you're gonna play all of them,
dude. So I'm not even fucking around. When I started Warhammer Fantasy, the 3 races that I started, High Elves, Dark Elves, and Lizardmen.
Dude, yeah.
So you know, and because of like the monsters, it's just one of those. It's just one of those things that one of the reasons that I, like so many people, love the fantasy setting. But anyway, to actually answer your question, I will most likely play the High Elves first.
Okay.
I did like a little video. It's mostly like an opinion piece. I think that in this game, Creative Assembly is really trying a bunch of new things from like a strategy development, mechanical standpoint. I think
100%.
You know, the martial prowess, the murderous prowess, a couple other things that we're going to see. I do think that the High Elves are an attempt at, I don't want to say beginner friendly because of like a connotation, but I think it's supposed to be a more well-rounded faction like the Empire, but a little bit more easy to handle.
I could agree with that. I mean, because their magic is kind of geared towards controlling the battlefield, or controlling at least what happens to the units.
Is diverse but small, you know what I mean? And I think that's cool. Like you get 1 artillery piece, you know, you get 1 heavy cav option, you get 1 anti-large halberd infantry. Your archers have spears. Talk about like forgiving, right? You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah, 100%.
And I mean, I just love them. I don't love like the arrogant bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
I always thought it was so funny that like people hate the, you know, kind of people are like elf racist, right? Like they don't like the wood elves. They're so arrogant
Poncy.
And like elfy. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, just wait till you see the other ones. You guys have no idea what's coming.
It's true too. But like, that's one thing I've always hated is like High Elves have always kind of like painted a very specific image as to what I feel like High Elves or elves in general should be like. And it's not like that in any other arena. Like, I mean, any other game I've ever played, elves are very flippant and very like, oh, we have to master the trees. They're very like wafy and shit. And then like the High Elves in Warhammer are like, we're badass, we're dying off, we know we're badass, and we're badass. Like they know they're very fast and nimble and last ages and can learn all these things, and they're cocksure about it, and it's cool in a certain way. To the Dark Elf point of it, they're a little bit more sadistic in their approach to that, which is kind of fun, but nothing kind of has that like umph that the High Elves get in any other fantasy setting, I feel like.
I mean, the arrogance in Warhammer in general is so good. It's you know what I mean, from like the Imperium to like the High Elves. It's just so good,
so haughty. I love it. Like
what about you, man? What are you gonna play?
Dude,
High Elves as well?
High Elves, yeah, man. Like High Elves are my go-to. Like I played them in tabletop, but I always had a problem. I was always torn between High Elves or Dark Elves. Like, do I want to play High Elves or do I want to play Dark Elves? But I really like what they're doing with Dark Elves, so I might actually try out, like, on the actual launch day. I'm gonna take the day off work. I'm gonna stream the whole day, or majority of it, and I'm gonna do probably a High Elf campaign and a Dark Elf campaign, because seeing the actual Dark Elf dark spells being used and cast is so cool. Like from just like the live action trailer, like those blues, those blacks, those purples, like that looks so fucking cool, and a little bit of reds in there, magentas, like really rad. The High Elf units, I already like. It's great to see them now come to life and everything, but now like my curiosity is kind of peaked, because it's like now I get to see the Dark Elves in actions. Whenever I would look at them like a rule standpoint, or like their miniatures, I always kind of erred towards the High Elves because I like their kind of ornate, very like polished regimental standard kind of look, whereas the Dark Elves kind of twisted that a little bit, made it look a little more like bladed and spiky and like fucking tits out, and like, oh look, that
edgelords.
Yeah, exactly. There's a vagina casting spells at me. I'm like, what the fuck? But
dude, I'm not even gonna lie, man. Like the way that they portrayed Malekith is the most bad. Like he's way more badass in that trailer than I feel like in any of the of the source material. In my mind, like they made him into such a beast, like such a boss.
Oh,
I mean, he's Darth Vader.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's Warhammer's Darth Vader, and it makes total sense. Like when you think of how Malekith's like history of like getting burned in the Shrine of Assyrian and being covered head to toe in burns, cue Darth Vader. Like definitely he lost the high ground to Assyrian. Just do it. Like just
he lost the fucking high ground. I don't feel like I'm in the do it club yet. As soon as I get officially like initiated, I'm just gonna. You guys are gonna hate do it, man.
Dude, you got anytime you feel you, sometimes you just gotta do it.
Anytime it just fucking feel it overtaking me, I'm just gonna fucking do it.
There it is. There it is. It's gonna.
It was like a little like baby one.
Do it. But like, even like when I look at them,
oh my god, episode 1. I mean, that fucking whole first 3 the first 3 episodes of Star Wars.
You don't,
so
or you
good,
do? You
so
hate
bad.
them? You don't like them?
I love them because I think that they're bad.
So I said I like bad movies, but I love Star Wars so much that I don't mind the new movies because I love it so much that I'm like, okay, great, Star Wars, whatever you're gonna feed to me, great, don't care, I love it. Like they're not. I mean, the first one's fucking rubbish, but honestly, like I just wanted to see Star Wars. I wanted to see lightsabers. I wanted to see any kind of anything, and I was happy. I was a kid too. I was like way younger when the 1, 2, and 3 came out, so it's like, sure, I'll deal with it. I'll take it.
Dude, I'm so funny. Like, you know, it's kind of tangenty, and I don't know where we're at on time, but
oh, we're good.
When I go see movies, you know, I know we talked about like Valeria and Dunkirk and shit like that before, and like movies are my time to turn off. Like I'm not critical.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I do. People are like, oh yeah, I go in there and I'm looking for plot holes. I'm like, dude, my suspension is disbelief when I paid for the ticket, homie.
Fuck
like,
yeah, dude. I don't give a shit if Bane is talking to himself in the Dark Knight or whatever that fuck. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I love that shit.
Yeah. Like to me, like, and to kind of follow on this tangent, a movie to me, like, I mean, I made movies in college or high school with my friends. I was like in theater and multimedia in college, so like I was always like part of like movie production. Like for me, movies are like such a cool feat from like a cinematic standpoint. Like creating a movie requires so many people. So I kind of get swept up in like the silver screen romance of that notion. So even bad movies, I'm like, yeah, I mean, cool. I probably had a lot of fun doing this. I'll watch your shitty movie and you just go, yeah, well, never gonna watch that again. But whatever. Like I just don't care. Like I love watching movies. Like I go movies alone. I don't give a fuck. Like I love.
It's movies. A story, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like stories?
Like I mean. I'm sitting there watching Dunkirk tonight, and I get out of it. I'm like, oh, I have a life after that. Jesus Christ! It's an intense movie for those of you that haven't seen it. Like, it's really good. I can't recommend it enough.
I'm definitely stoked. Do you know, just tying that back in? You know, once in a while you'll hear like Warhammer movie, right? It'll come up, and we talk about the setting and the fan base and how big it is. I mean, is it a possibility ever? Is it like a small budget thing? What do you think?
Well, they did release Ultramarine, and they also are releasing Lord Inquisitor. And I'm really curious to see Lord Inquisitor. And Ultramarine had a pretty, not a star-studded cast, but it had some big names in it. So I think it can be done, but I'm worried about who would do it. Like Michael Bay can't do it. If I fucking see a just big tit space marine coming in with glasses on and blonde hair, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck's going on here? But
dude,
like,
we should do a podcast with like actors and actresses, and you're probably more familiar with this shit. That would like what they'd be in Total War or in Warhammer. Like what would Jeff Goldblum be? You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
That'd be actually pretty funny. I think someone actually did a podcast similar to that where they did talk about like, oh, okay, this guy, yeah, he's totally a space marine. Like I was like Jason Statham. Like, yeah, Jason Statham's absolutely gonna be like the head of a space marine. Like, all right. Get in the car. No rubles. Like, oh, Jesus. Wrong movie, Jason.
Get in the Rhino.
That works.
Yeah, dude.
I was going to say something. Okay, so we talked about what we're hyped up for Total War Warhammer 2. I agree with you. We're probably going to see a lot of stuff. They're going to experiment with a lot of like things. And we've seen a lot of that, I think, in the Norsca trailer. Like we saw... what's it called? Frostbite, like that new weapon mechanic.
Fucking Norsca,
dude. Norsca in general, dude. Norsca looks pretty sick. What's your hype? What's your hype peen on that one?
My hype peen like is 0 to midnight in the words of a wise man. No, I mean honestly, dude. Like I'm super stoked. I have a ton of opinions on it, like more than anyone would want to hear. I think that they're going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they have done a good job in making something very unique.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're kind of a crossover between Beastmen, Chaos, and Greenskins, maybe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think, and this is the most kind of out there, that they're going to be countered a little bit by the dwarves, and they're kind of a mild meta balancer. This is very subjective, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if one of your strategies is to slow down an opponent all the time, what are you going to do when the opponent's already completely slow and doesn't use their mobility and has a shit ton of armor, and you've already been blasted by cannons, you know?
What do you do when the opponent's got 2-inch legs?
Right, like you can't slow them down anymore. They weren't moving anyway. But I think that's a good thing. I think that they're going to be super, super powerful. I think they're going to fuck up a lot of factions that use mobility and cycle charging and cav and shit like that. It's not a coincidence that they started that thing with Bretonia. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was random. So what do you think, Ben?
Well, I agree with you, but I'm not sure if I feel like okay, when I think about look at their units, they have a lot of AP units, so I'm not sure if I think they're going to be a hard counter to dwarves.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
we should, dude. Our inaugural this will be our inaugural battle.
I'm down.
Dude. Challenge issued.
Challenge accepted. Are you going to play dwarves then?
Well, either one. Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, you can play Norsca.
Either one's fine with me, because I'm looking at I did the video today talking about hey, you know, let's take a look at the units, and fucking everything had AP. Wolfric,
really?
Throg, I might take a look here.
The trolls definitely do. Trolls and Throg definitely do.
I've got
the monsters do.
All the unit cards all saved here. So okay, so Wolfric doesn't, Throg does, Frostworm does, War Mammoth does, Flame Balefiend does, Skinwolves don't. But that's
a big one. That's huge.
Yeah, but they're fast. They're gonna be really fast. So I could see them fucking up a backline of dwarves quite quick. And there's 24 units in a monstrous unit. That's pretty big.
True. Yes, it is.
Marauder Berserkers are not. Champions are not. Hunters are. They're close range melee. So I'm seeing them. I'm close range missiles.
They're the missile guys. Yep. So they're melee guys, except for their monsters. Generally, I feel like aren't. But you know,
giants.
The monsters are for sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll see, man. You know, everything's so subjective. You know, I like theories.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree, because, well, on top of it too, okay, so we're looking at their Balefiend. The Balefiend's going to have a standard unit that is not a character. It's just monstrous unit Balefiend. There's a bunch of them, or at least it sounded like there was a bunch of them. I didn't know if it was going to be a single one, like a giant or a troll. But
no, they're a unit.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a 12-man unit, like a troll unit. So
they'll be monster heavy, and their monsters
and their thunder armor, but they have magic attacks. So you know, how much does that get negated?
Yeah, I haven't there's a couple of variations, like great weapons with them, and they weren't in the thing today, so they're not top of mind for me. They weren't in the battle today, except for the caster, right?
No, yeah, they weren't at all.
So excuse me, I'm not going to be accurate. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, 100%. So I don't know. I don't know. I think you bring up a good point. I guess I didn't really think about it that much. As I look throughout the majority of the roster, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Berserkers, Champions, they don't have piercing, but you can have great weapons on them.
Okay.
So
well, yeah, so there's flexibility there, and I mean, who knows? Who knows? I think that they are a kind of a slow glass cannon, and instead of
I can agree with that.
Instead of being quick, they bring the enemy's speed back down to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
The fact that they don't have cav, I think, is very, very deliberate and telling. And I love the skin wolves, and I love what they do, and I think they're gonna fuck up a shit ton of cav units. Even though they're not armor piercing, it doesn't matter. When when the whole faction's weapon strength is so fucking high too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I bring up this again. Okay, so the Balefiend Sorcerer, it's got 400 weapon strength.
It's fucking huge.
Yeah,
that's
okay,
that's almost Gore Bowl like level.
Seriously, like fuck. In the War Mammoth, it's got 525 to be expected, but the Worm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was a point I made in the video. The Frostworm has 450. But Throg has 495 and Wolfrek has 490. Like, they hit harder than a fucking worm. Like, insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, Throg's hit is like, I think I looked into it real quick. It's amongst the highest in Total War 1. It's on the level of like, it's higher than like Grim Gore's and Durthu's. It's on like Grombrindle level. It's almost Grombrindle's 500, right?
Let me see. Yeah.
So he's almost, he's up there with Kolek and Grombrindle in terms of weapon strength, which is crazy. He kicks the shit out of like Grim Gore and Durthu and Deathclaw, all those guys, just in terms of weapon strength only.
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. I love him. I like him more than Wolfrek. I'm gonna play him.
I'm looking here. Okay, so I brought up my my notes on the what's the hell it's called, roster reveal. So we do have Marauders with great weapons, but we have Marauder champions with great weapons, and I think they're going to be a hard counter for dwarves because they're heavy infantry, and if they have their great weapons out as well, it's going to be pretty mean, I think. And they do have cav.
Do they have shields?
Yeah. Oh no,
okay.
Probably not the great weapons. Probably not the great weapons. The standard guys do that, bronze shields. I'm checking them unit. Yeah, just bronze shields.
Yeah, they have a big roster, man. They're going to be very flexible, and I think big rosters ultimately do translate to a little bit more competitive, right? Because you can trip up your opponent.
Right. Because you can get those. So we've got the Famir Sorcerer. Well, they can have a Famir Warriors with great weapons. So that's like fucking terrifying to me.
Dude.
And
so
they have
stoked,
chariots.
man.
Oh man, chariots! I forgot about those.
I forgot about those too.
Dwarves.
Fuck. You are correct. Yeah, it'll be fun though, man. That'll be a fun fun game.
We'll cross swords and see how that goes.
Yeah, dude, sword fight.
So
and then sword fight.
We've talked about now Total War Warhammer 2. We talked about Norsca.
I feel like this is pretty good for. I mean, how long has it been? I feel like this is pretty good for like episode 1.
About 47 minutes, 50 minutes in. I think we've got like 1 or 2 topics in us. I think we'll hit like a full hour here.
Yeah, do it up.
So, what do you think? And this is purely conjecture, people. What do you think is coming DLC wise? Because what's out, what's going to be coming with Total War Warhammer 2. What do you feel is in your loins? Maybe one of the first or second DLCs
for Total War Warhammer 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that the High Elves and Dark Elves will get a first kind of DLC in the same style as Grim in the Grave or King and the Warlord. I think it just makes sense, right?
Right.
And there's both factions have so many characters that we're not getting right away.
Mm-hmm.
Most notably, and I know you're familiar, the High Elf, the ladies, the handmaidens and the Everqueen. That whole thing is a big cornerstone of the High Elf lore. So the Everqueen encounters the Phoenix King. I think we'll get the Everqueen. I think we'll get the handmaidens and the Sisters of Avalon.
So then, do you think on the Dark Elf side we'll get Hellebron and the Sisters of Slaughter?
It would make sense. I don't know. I don't know. For a DLC, I think that it'll be that broadly. What do you think?
Well, I kind of agree with that as far as like if I'm talking about like just strictly DLC, no new factions. I say like a conjunction release or something like we've seen what we're going to get in the High Elves and the Dark Elves. So we know that the High Elves are going to have no Shadow Warriors, but the Dark Elves are going to have Assassins and Shades. So, and I already know from Skaven, Clan Eshin, all their lore and everything is about assassination. So it would make sense to me if they released something along the lines that added Shadowblade and Alephanar, who's a special character Shadow Warrior, and maybe even the Shadow Warriors into High Elves. That would be pretty on point
Be sick.
Or maybe even like Malice Darkblade and Illyrian from the High Elves. Like Malice Darkblade on his Colwyn, Illyrian on Illyrian rides a fucking Griffin and so that's actually a question I was going to ask you.
Eltharion.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oh, yeah. He's an OG model, dude.
Yeah,
that goes back way.
Well, do you remember like he was OG on his Griffin, and then they took him off his Griffin and made him a blind swordsman, and then they put him back on his Griffin?
I don't remember that transition.
Yeah, like if you look up like let me see, the Eltharion 6th edition. He's just on foot with a sword. And he's blind.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious and weird.
And then on the last edition, he's back up on his Eltharion the Grim is back up on his trusty Griffin. So, what do you think? What's up?
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say his Griffin Stormwing, and he originally was had that big. He was the orc guy. He had the rivalry with the orcs. At least at some point in the lore. He's so old, man. I don't remember.
No, he does. He like goblins and orcs or some shit.
Do I think that we'll get him? No. I in my loins, no.
In my loins, no. Well, that's actually what I was going to ask. Like, so you did play Dark Elves. You did play High Elves. What? We know that the Shadow Warriors aren't going to be in there. We know that Griffins aren't going to be there for High Elves. We know for Dark Elves that we're not going to see Manticores. We're not going to see any of the Beastmasters or any of the Medusae. So what are some units that are missing that you think are like how could they forget these units, or how could they not add these units?
Well, okay, that's a great question. That's a great question, ItalianSpartacus.
Great question, Bob. Over to you, Bill.
So I think that the choice to leave out Griffins and Manticores was very intentional. One, because we've already seen them, and they're kind of staples of Total War. One, in a way. Two, because they're very good at what they do for their cost in Total War 1, and those factions don't really need that because
have we seen
looks like
Griffins in one?
The Empire. The Empire.
Oh yeah,
Griffin
that
central.
Fucking asshole's got a Griffin. Isn't that a Hippogriff?
That's the Bretonnians ride Hippogriffs, and the Empire.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Death Claws.
the big fat Griffins.
Yeah,
and they like I put it, they waddle their way out of any combat because of their mass, right? And it's so fucking obnoxious. But anyway, what I would have loved to see, and I think that we will because it's too cool to pass up, are the Lion Chariots.
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on, right,
dude? So true, because on top of it, like people would take the Lion Chariots and they would put their High Elf lords on top of them and just call them like lords from Trace, and I'm like, that's fucking cool. That was a fucking cool choice, right?
Like that was the only thing I was like a little bit like sad face, like back from like midnight to like 11:30,
and then tweaked back up again.
But I do think that I would love to see that. I love the War Hydra. I would have also liked to seen the Charybdis.
Oh yeah, man. That's what I like to call the bladed vagina.
Yeah, even though he's an ugly motherfucker, it would have made sense. I feel like it was intentional to leave him out because it would have been a pretty simple crossover from the Hydra. But I don't know. I mean, we got so much. Like I feel dumb complaining because like I'm not. It's just like a wish list,
Right. No, totally 100%. Like some people were pretty upset the Shadow Warriors weren't in, but I can see maybe why they didn't put them, because the High Elf, like you said at the very beginning of the video, High Elf is very kitty. High Elf, that's KIT, not like a child. Like you can kit out High Elves to be however you want it. Like I had a predominantly High Elf cav force, and you can have it, or a monster army, or an archery army. Like you can have it however you want. And I think that maybe with Shadow Warriors, it didn't have the kind of placement that they originally had intended for the armies. So I think they kind of decided to not put them in and maybe add them later, or leave it to the modders or whatever. But I kind of see where their decision was not to choose it. But like you said, it's like hard to be upset when there's so many awesome things in there.
Yeah, I think by the end of it, dude, they're gonna be in.
Yeah,
especially they're so cold towards they're the only High Elves I think that like hate the Dark Elves.
Yeah, they have hatred Dark Elves.
right? They
Mhm.
did, and because their home got completely, basically, anal annihilate. It's like that dude. He's got a name on Quick Battle. It's so funny. If you've seen that guy, it's
Anal annihilation.
it's anal annihilation, but it's all in like leet speak. Never mind.
Dude, anal annihilation.
It's
If you're
pretty
watching this, thanks for having a great name.
it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, the Dark Elves invaded Nagarath and beat the shit out of all those guys, and they
Yeah,
hate them.
it's like Nagarath is like the dark elf ancestral home, and it's like high elves don't trust them, dark elves don't like them. They're like smack dab between two worlds, and they hate the dark elves for it. And it's like there's such a pinnacle portion of what ties the two races together, and also at the same time is what is representative of why they're so different. So I think they're pretty necessary in my opinion. So I totally agree with you.
Fuck yeah.
Totes agree, mate.
Yeah.
But like I agree, dude. Like, what was I thinking of with the Dark Elves? Like, I really wanted to see like the Blood Rack Shrine, like the Medusa one. Like, I just thought that would have been cool.
Yeah. Aren't we getting the altar? Are we getting the altar or the blood cauldron?
Mm-hmm. Blood Cauldron.
Okay.
And I think the altar. I can't remember.
Altar of Cain and the Blood Cauldron, because weren't the Medusae on one of them in tabletop? I think that they were on.
They're on the. It's called the Blood Rack. Let me see.
Oh, were there 3 shrines?
Yeah, Blood Rack Shrine. Yeah. So they're on the Blood Rack Shrine.
Okay.
But it was kitted with the Cauldron of Blood, which is an Altar of Cain. I think they got rid of the Altar of Cain and put the Cauldron of Blood. I can't remember. I've fucking seen so many of these damn versions now, man. Yeah, it was a double kit with
They were strong.
With
the
Blood
Medusae.
Rack. Oh yeah, dude. And
they were very strong.
They could do a toughness test and outright kill things. Like they were fucking cool.
Yeah. I wonder. There are some curious leave outs, or but there's always DLC, and I'm this is just personal. I don't mind the DLC thing. I think it's very smart. Maybe it's like the business marketing person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I can't blame them. I think it's cool. I think it leaves people wanting more. I think that's always smart. But I would imagine we will see these very cool units, like the Medusa, like you said.
No, I think that I totally agree, dude. Like the FLC was great. Like I like how Total War and Witcher 3 really got big on FLC. They were like saying, "Hey, you bought the game. This is what you get. Like we were making this already, so we want to give it to you as supporters. But we're also creating this, and we do have to charge you because we have to pay for the ongoing support of this. So I'm all down with it. I'm down to support a game that adds continued hours to my like playtime. Like when I take a look at, as I pop it up here real quick, like turns is something fucking ridiculous, but mine's 182 hours, and it's like, okay, I spent $60 plus, or it was 50 or 60, whatever its launch price was, plus then like the 4 DLCs, 3 DLCs. That's like well worth it for me. And it's like I can buy a $60 PS4 game, play it for 30 hours, and be done with it. And it's like, okay, well, that was fun and all, but I feel like I've really gotten my money's worth with like Total War, and because they did that FLC, so it kept me engaged in it throughout the whole entire like year or some of its lifetime.
And like that all makes so much sense, and even more so when you think like we come from fucking buying Games Workshop miniatures. Like this is, you know what I mean? Like our wallets have been raped for years.
Yeah, seriously.
This is child's play.
Yeah, people are like, oh, these fucking prices. I'm like, yeah, how about every Memorial Day they raise their prices 15%? Q Games Workshop. It's like, fuck. I'm used to like buying a box of like 40 units used to cost like $30. Now buying a box of like 12 units might be 70, might be 85 if you're buying one special character. Like you never know nowadays. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm used to like one of my friends that I play Games Workshop stuff with, I was saying like, yeah, I've been playing some Magic lately. He goes, fuck, dude, are you rich? I'm like, rich? I play Games Workshop with you, homie. That game's fucking for rich blood right there. Like, shit, dude. Like, you can't. I've never met anyone that can play Games Workshop, Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, 40K, whatever, and only collect one army. That's a level of discipline that I've never heard of, and I lost 100 pounds in my life. That's fucked up.
Absolutely, man. There is a certain, there's a certain thing that keeps you coming back and wanting more with this setting and this company. But yeah, we've been paying a lot of money for a while, and we would justify that ourselves. We would justify that like, well, it's giving me this many hours of painting, modeling, playing this, so it's worth it. And Total War, I mean, that ratio is skyrockets.
Oh yeah. I agree, man. Well,
this was fun, dude.
Yeah, I think it was a good goddamn time. For those of you watching, if this is something you'd like to see more often, please let us know. I mean, we're all for doing more of this, more of these. I'm more willing to get more people involved in them too. Like we can have two-some, three-some, four-some, five-sums, whatever the fuck.
Absolutely, more the merrier.
Yeah, and if you guys have any specific topics you want Coda and I to talk about on the next one, let us know. Let us just drop them in the comments. Do take a look at Coda's channel. He has a lot of really great videos. He did a really cool video on high elf unit comparison. Like I was like totally jonesing for it because I'm like thinking of doing the same exact thing, but he used a lot of really great like editing, a lot of really good sound and everything. So do check out his videos. He's got a lot of really good stuff on his channel. I'm gonna have a link to his, what's that thing called, channel at the end of this. You'll have a link right to his page, but I'll also put it in the comment section as well, so you guys can take a look at all the goodies. That's super
nice of you, dude. And I'm a gigantic fan of yours. I consider myself nothing, of a fan of yours who's now becoming a friend. It's something that we have in common.
Yeah, man.
Just my channel's just starting off, and it's very experimental, but I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Turn did it for me when I first started, and it's like, I feel like we were talking about this with the community. Like it's like my obligation to pay it forward, because like I'm no one special. I've just been doing this for 4 months, and I'm just putting out constant content. And it's like, if you're an individual, like I already know you are, like you're someone that's dedicated, you put up really good stuff, and you have a lot of really good stuff to say, and you love and have a passion for this lore, like people deserve to like see that, because everyone in the Total War community is kind of on the same team. Like I don't ever look at like oh, I don't look at like an Indie Pride or like an Air of Carthage as a competitor. I'm like, look at someone, I go, man, they have fucking cool videos. I want to do something like that too. Like every single person in this community, I feel like inspires each other, and that's why I like it so much. I don't feel like I'm always like cockfighting for attention or to put this video up before this guy does or something like that. Like I just think of something, I make it, I put it up, and like it's generally accepted across the board. And that's what I like so much about this community. So thank you so much for watching, dude. Like I really appreciate it.
Dude, I agree, man. All ships rise with the tide. I said it before. It's kind of a cliche, but it's true. It's a small community. In a small community, that's how it works.
So true. So true.
So thank you, buddy. I want to do this again. I hope people like it. And if not, maybe we can talk about something that's more interesting.
Yeah.
We spread the gambit. So
yeah, we kind of wanted this to be kind of free flowing, so that's why Coda and I just kind of hit some things that we know kind of hot button topics right now. For the most part, though, I mean, this is us just kind of fucking around, guys. So if you do have any specific things you want to know about or a certain structure in mind, like, hey, tell us more about this lore, we can definitely go into that together. As you can tell, we know quite a bit already from just this hour-long video. But thanks for watching here, guys. Do check out Coda's channel. I've got some more goodies planned. I know Coda's got some more goodies planned for his channel as well. But tune in, leave some comments, let us know what's up, and take care.
Thanks, guys.